Hey, what's up, my friend? Welcome back to this week's market analysis. Alright, I admit, right, there wasn't a video last week if you realize, right? And the reason is because I was in Japan having my honeymoon with my wife. So while overseas, it's difficult, or say not possible for me, right, to record a video because I just don't have the necessary equipment. So now that I'm back, right, back from Japan, back from my honeymoon, right, so the weekly analysis resumes, right? So if you kind of miss me for the last 1 week, right, I understand because I miss you too. So anyway, this week's, right, we'll kick things off, right? I'll just share with you how about a few pictures from my trip. How's that, right? And after which we'll talk about the markets, right? Post-election, right? We have seen some big moves in the market, right? On the yen, the dollar, gold. So we'll have a look at it, at those markets as well as a few potential trading setups that I'm looking at for the week. Sounds good? Then let's begin. Okie dokie. So I just want to share with you some pictures as promised, right? Regarding my trip to Japan. So what you're seeing right now is actually at the volcano site, right? So you see all this smoke over here. It's not a fire or people smoking, right? Rather, it's sulfur that's actually being produced at this volcano site. So I was actually quite intrigued by it because firstly, I've never been to a volcano site, right? And it's quite interesting to actually see, this sulfur being produced at this volcano, area. I don't think it's gonna, erupt, right? If not, I wouldn't be visiting there. But it's definitely quite a sight to see, this smoke, right? This sulfur being produced in the ground, or rather from the ground. So this one over here is what they call the Japanese. It was in Japan. They have a lot of temples. Right, this is in Kyoto. So this is actually a very famous one because this temple that you see over here is made of gold. Okay, so I'm not really sure what's the story behind it, right? But I believe it's someone who is important, where he come into this temple for his rest and stuff like that. So it's definitely someone important. That's why you actually built this temple that's made of gold, right? Needless to say, tourists, we are not even allowed to walk on this temple, because I think if you let people to roam around the temple, you find missing handles, missing doors, missing windows, right? Because everything is made of gold. Yeah, so and you can see that it's quite scenic around it as well. So this is a very prominent landmark here in Kyoto. And on the opposite side, right, of this is the Golden Temple. So there's another like so-called similar temple, which they call it the Silver Temple. So this is like the brother or sister, if you call it. I'm not really sure what's the term, but there's another similar temple, but they call it the Silver Temple. So when I first look at this temple at the side, they call it the Silver Temple, I was looking really hard and thinking to myself, where is the silver? Right? Because when you saw the gold temple earlier, you see that there is gold, but on this Silver Temple, I just couldn't see any silver, right? So me and my wife, we speculate maybe this is the silver that rusted, right? But we think to ourselves, no, doesn't really make sense, right? Silver don't rust, from what I learned in my science class, right? Silver don't rust, right? So at the end of it, I came to the conclusion that maybe there isn't any silver. So we did a Wikipedia search, and funnily enough, right, it says that there isn't any silver on this temple. Actually, this temple was actually intended to be made of silver, but somehow the project got halted and it didn't come to fruition. Then eventually this was what remains and what is done with, right? So a lot of people call this the Silver Temple, even though there is no silver on it. So that was quite interesting. All right, this one is the bamboo forest. So the bamboos are just really insanely high, right? So it's just nothing but bamboos over here. We went in autumn, so you can see that the colors of the trees, they are pretty much vibrant. You have like pink, yellow, green, and orangey, brown. In Singapore, there's only two colors: green when it's alive, brown when it's dead, right? That's all we have. We don't really have this kind of vibrant colors. So over here, this is this is quite interesting, right? So this is me and my wife. Then we are again, I think it's a temple. I believe it's a temple. Then this orange thing, this you see all these words over here. If I'm not wrong, if you want to inscribe your name on the words, you can pay a fee for it, right? And the fee range from 10,000 yen, all right, to about, if I'm not wrong, 1,000,000 yen. So convert this into Singapore dollars, you're looking at about $130, all the way up to $130,000. Right, so of course, right, if you pay lesser, your name is probably smaller, and if you pay more, you get a bigger name on this orange pole over here. So that was definitely quite interesting, and it's quite a view actually, because all this orange pillars goes all the way back. Yeah, so this is something to look out for as well. And in Japan, I really respect them for one thing, is that their presentation, they are very well presented, and they really take care of, you know, the looks of it. Because if you look at this is just rice with tofu soup, and you know, and there's a lot of plates over here, right? On average, right, each meal you'll be served at least, you know, 5 to 6 plates, because their soup is one plate, their pickles another plate, the sauce another plate. So this is definitely on the high end. About, I think, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Is it 12? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. 12. Wow, 12. Right, in Singapore, you go down to the hawker center, you order a plate of economical rice, you just have one plate and maybe 4 dishes. Everything's on it. So Japan, people there are very presentable, and it's really, you know, a different culture to see it all together. Right, and lastly, right, a bowl of ramen to end things off, right? In Japan, you are definitely, you know, going to have to try their ramen, because, you know, that's where it originates from, right? So this is, I'm not sure where this is, right? Because my wife does all the planning and research. She's the one who can pronounce the Japanese words. I'm the one who just eat and enjoy the tour. Okay, so that's all I have for you in my Japan tour. So now back to this week's analysis, all right? Hope I didn't get too carried away. So the first thing I want to talk about is that, you know, I was actually away during the US election because I was in Japan, so I wasn't really actively trading much. And we had some really big moves in the market, right? Like the US dollar strengthening, the yen pairs, you know, declining, gold weakening as well. So I want to look at the yen pairs today, right? Because it has come into quite a key interesting levels, right? If you look at this dollar yen, right, you see that dollar yen. If you look at the big picture, right, it has been in a very steadily downtrend, you know, trying to find a word. So if you plot trend line on the weekly, right, you can see that basically it has broke out of this downtrend over here. So I just want to share with you a few tips on how to actually, you know, so-called predict when the trend has end, right? So I'm looking out for this, a few factors. Number one, right, if you see on the weekly time frame, this downtrend has actually broken. So it's actually a long-term downtrend on the daily time frame, right? So that's one, this downtrend. Price has broke out of this downtrend. Okay, so let me get rid of this, all right? And if you go down to the daily time frame, you notice that it has been in the range between these highs and these lows over here. Okay, and price has actually, you know, broke out of the resistance, and right now it's approaching this level of resistance as well, the another level of resistance. So broke out of the range, broke out of a long-term downtrend, and now approaching a key resistance. So for me personally, right, I'm not looking to short this move over here, right? In fact, I would rather prefer to go long on the dollar yen, because to me, right, I'm actually bullish on this pair right now. So a few ways, or a few potential scenarios that could occur is that, you know, price, you know, does retrace back towards this previous resistance that turns support, and then it continues higher. This is again, I can't comment much, right? I was about to say, you know, it's a potential setup to keep in mind, right? But at the same time, you want to be aware of other scenarios that could occur as well. Alternatively, price could actually consolidate over here, right, forming a mini range, mini flag before breaking out and continue its move higher. So if you ask me, I think this is perhaps a more likely scenario to occur, right? If you ask me, right, forming rather consolidating over here and breaking out. Or another likely scenario is that the market actually, you know, reverse back from this highs to retest this lows over here. This is for dollar yen, right? So I'm bullish on the dollar yen. And if you look at this, right, a Canadian yen, same thing, right, approaching this level over here, Canadian yen, right? So here again, right, is a level to watch for, right? Because there could be a potential reversal back towards the downside. But if you ask me, among all the yen pairs, right, I would say the one that I would prefer to short is the pound yen. Because in terms of relative strength, the pound yen is actually weaker. I would say it's the weakest among all. In fact, all you need to do is just plot out the 200 period moving average. All right, plot out 200. So the Canadian, I do the same thing. I plot out the 200. Dollar yen, I do the same thing. You plot out the 200. And you realize the only pair that is below the 200 is the pound yen. So what does this tell you? Well, it's very simple. It's telling you that the pound yen is relatively weaker compared to the other yen pairs. So this, right, if you ask me, is a level that I'll be looking to short. Okay, so there are a few ways you can go about it. I think the easiest, and by far the easiest way to, you know, to get a short trigger is for price to come into this level. All right, trading above this highs, and then close below, right? This is what I call a false break, right? Because over here this highs, right, traders will look to get long on the break of this highs. So if price breaks out of it and then close below, those breakout traders will be trapped, right? Because you long the breakout and then price close below, right? It's putting you in the red. So this is, I would say, is a very simple entry trigger that I'll be looking out for, right? And hopefully if I get this trigger, I'll look for a retest back towards perhaps this low over here. All right. But for me, right, for the trend following side of things, I will usually just trail my stop loss, right, using the 20 period moving average. But for swing traders, right, I'll say this is a level. This as well over here is a level to actually, you know, to take your profits off the table. So it really depends, you know, whether you're a swing trader, trend follower, right? So you got to, you know, decide ahead of time, right, what type of trading approach you want to employ. Okay, so this is the yen pairs that I want you to, you know, to watch in the coming week. So another one I want to share is actually gold, as I've mentioned. Right, you can see over here, right, gold weekly time frame. Right, so just for those of you who are wondering, right, what's all this red line, black line? They are basically support resistance levels, right? The red one is the weekly level, the black one is the daily level. So if you ask me, needless to say, the red one is more significant than the black one because it's on the weekly level, a higher time frame. So in case those of you who are wondering, right? So on the daily time frame of gold, you can see if I zoom out, it's coming into this weekly support level, right? Tested once, tested twice, and right now it's here once again. Okay, so this is a level that you want to be paying attention to, right? At this point in time, I'm not bullish yet because there is no sign of the market telling me that it's about to reverse, right? But again, a couple of things you can look at, right? Number one, the weekly, right? If the weekly, right, comes into this area of support and maybe if it forms a false break, right? Maybe it gives you a pin bar hammer looking something like this. Then this is a signal that the market could perhaps be ready to reverse back towards the upside. So that's one thing I'm looking out for, right? A bullish reversal pattern on the weekly time frame. Alternatively, right, on the 4-hour time frame, if the market can break above this high, maybe consolidate, it breaks out, right, you get a higher low and a higher high. Then I will also shift my bias from bearish to bullish, right? So these are the couple of things I'm looking out for on gold before I change my bias, right? At this point in time, I'm not looking to short because the market is at this key area of support. Neither am I looking to long because I don't have the signal to tell me that the market is about to is ready to, you know, to reverse. So this is more of, you know, just staying on the sideline, wait and see, and then, you know, make your trading decisions from there, right? Once I think the signals are given, right, it's much more clearer and you can actually trade with conviction. Okay, so this is a goal, another thing to look out for. And lastly, right, let's cover one more pair. The dollar Swiss franc, which is actually pretty much correlated with the euro dollar. So the dollar Swiss franc, again, you can see, right, zoom out, right, it has actually broken out of this, you know, this range over here, right, the highs and the lows, right? And if you ask me, right, there's a good chance that it will retest back this level over here, 1024, which is this weekly resistance over here. There's a good chance, right? Right now, actually, it's at this daily resistance, if you can see, right? It's a smaller daily resistance, not a huge level, but it's definitely still a level, right? In fact, it's actually broken out of it, you can see, right? Price is actually close above this daily resistance. So let's talk a little bit about shorter term trading. Okay, so at this point in time, if you are someone who just trade off the daily time frame, right, I'll be honest with you, there is no setup at all. There is no setup because if you have to go long, your stop loss on the daily would, I would say, logically, if it makes sense, you have to go below this, you know, structure support over here, right? And its stop loss is just way too large relative to the potential, you know, level where price will have difficulty going through. Right, so from a risk to reward standpoint, it doesn't really make sense. So this is where I would say different time frame traders would have different opportunities. So in this market condition, I would say the lower time frame traders, like the 1 hour, they have opportunities to trade instead. Okay, so for example, on the 1 hour time frame, you can see something like this over here. You notice that this market, right, has been respecting the 50 period moving average. Right, so needless to say, if the market, right, let's form some hypothesis, right? If the market, right, so this black line from the daily, let me just get rid of it first. So if the market does retrace back towards this 50 period moving average and then it bounce higher, you can expect the market to actually, you know, continue its uptrend. Right? So I would say going long, if there is a false break over here at this level, right? This is in fact a previous resistance turn support, right? You can just put your stop loss maybe 1 ATR below the low, right? And then just ride this hourly trend, right, in expectations that the market would actually go back and retest this highs over here. So that's one way to, you know, to trade the shorter term trend. Okay, so I just want you to think about this, right? This is important, right? It's like as a trader, you have to know your time frame, right? I'll be honest with you, I made the mistake, right, in my early years of trading across many time frames. I was on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly. So what happened is that when you are on too many time frames, right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but if you are still new to this trading business, right, you will suffer what I call analysis paralysis. Okay, because you're just trading too many time frames. It's like you're looking at 1 hour, hey, there's setup. Then after you exited your 1 hour setup, maybe for a loss, you look, hey, the 4 hour, there's another setup. So you take. So what happens is that you take so many setups, and afterwards you get, you get confused after a while. And you ask yourself, which time frame should I be on? Should I be on 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily? So you get analysis paralysis and you get confused. So I would say my key message right now is to understand your time frame. If you are a trader who just simply trade off the daily time frames, then stick to the daily. Don't go down to the 5 minutes, the 15 minutes to look for trading setups, right? Because it's going to affect your trading results, or rather your trading performance on the daily time frame. Right? Similarly, if you are someone who trades off, say, the 1 hour time frame, then do not go on to the daily time frame, because again, right, it may cause you to have analysis paralysis, right? Confusion, right? So I'm not saying you can't do this, but of course, as you mature as a trader, you can trade multiple, I would say, different time frames. For example, a shorter time frame and a longer time frame. That is fine. But if you're still starting out, right, stick to one time frame, right? And the rest is basically something that you can just leave it for now, right? This is to make your trading simpler. Okay? So what I just shared with you, right, is basically, right, trading on this shorter term time frame, right, the 1 hour. And earlier I shared with you also that the pound yen, right, looking to short at this daily resistance level. This is more towards longer term trading, because this is execution on the daily time frame, whereas the dollar Swiss franc is the execution on the 1 hour time frame. Right, so we are basically talking about two different types of trading over here, a shorter term and a longer term. Right, so I'm not trying to confuse you, but I just want to give you exposure into how traders on different time frame works. Okay, so you can pick the one that makes the most sense to you, right, and start with it, right? So you can start off maybe trading off the daily, or if you prefer something faster, maybe even the hourly, right? But you want to understand that you don't want to be all over the place, because again, as I've said, right, it's going to give you analysis paralysis if you just trading way too many time frames. Okay, so that's all I have for you in this week's video. I think it ran a bit long, right? Because, well, after a Japan trip, right? After 1 week of not talking, I kind of like need to let everything out. Okay, so yep, that's all I have for you in this week's video. If any comments, feedback, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And if you've enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button below, alright? With that, wish you good luck and good trading. Talk to you soon.